Hi, everyone. It's a delight to be back in Richmond. We were excited to be away. And for those of you who were not able to be there this past Shabbos morning, I wanted to share with you some reflections. Even for those of you who were there, this is an expansion or a video blog, a vlog with some ideas that I wanted to share with all of you. I have three videos in mind. They're not all recorded yet, but I wanted to start just to give you a sense of particular experiences that I had. So uh, the truth is that it's somewhat unfortunate, but the second night that we were there, I think it was June 8th, there was a ballistic missile attack. And I took some notes to kind of share with you what that experience was like. I had experienced sirens before, but Iran shot intercontinental ballistic missiles, and my family was just moving in for 2 months to the state of Israel. So it was a new experience for us, and it was our first siren as a family and grappling with that. We knew it could be an issue. It's a matter of getting the right apps and making sure that our phones would give us the right alarms and having the volume up so that we could act as necessary. And the truth of the matter is, I wondered to myself, how the regime in Iran knew what time I like to get up in the morning because the alarm that signaled that the attack was there was exactly when I was planning on getting up anyway. So that's maybe the only comical piece about this, but all of these feelings of being a husband, husbandry, fatherhood, and of being responsible for one's family. And we were just getting started. This was our adventure. It was the dream of a lifetime to take my entire family all together for the first time to the land of Israel. And it's just really weird to feel this overlap of geopolitics and the connection between um, what was going on in the world and personal, intimate life, this family life. And then all of a sudden, the geopolitics are immediately relevant to that. And that is something perhaps all of Israelis are accustomed to by now, for better or for worse, but that was new for us. And um, it's it really got me thinking about geopolitics and also about my own personal family. So that's a really strange occurrence, and it just made me think about all of the history lessons and history classes, and going back all the way to the creation of the State of Israel in 1948, and thinking about how there were Muslim Palestinians and there were Jewish Palestinians, and the Muslim Palestinians rejected and failed to acknowledge the rights of the Jewish Palestinians to self-determination. And uh, war resulted, thankfully, with the providence of the Almighty, in the creation of the State of Israel, the first Jewish sovereignty in thousands of years. Um, and what we had over here was continuation of that in the sense that uh, attacks came from Lebanon. Lebanon attacked Israel. Israel then attacked Lebanon. Now Iran was attacking Israel to try to protect Hezbollah in Lebanon. Now all of this is immediately relevant for my family and our well-being. So this was just the very beginning of our sabbatical. And then Israel attacks Iran. And it's strange to root for an army emotionally, that you want them to hit back so hard that your enemy won't think twice about targeting your family. And this was, thankfully nobody was killed in this attack, but there was actually damage and injury and was pretty extensive. And when you look at the aftermath and the pictures, these ballistic missiles, these are not little tiny rockets. It's not a rocket attack. These Iranian missiles could kill hundreds of people, take down an entire apartment building in one fell swoop, and that kind of that added um, to the experience and made it all that more alarming. So, um, one thing which struck me is that when your family's being targeted like that, you don't have the empathy to be concerned about whether the Palestinian authorities or governments are investing in shelters for their own people, because they also could be hurt by these attacks. But when you're worried about your family like that, you don't have that kind of empathy. And the fact that they have corruption and don't invest in protecting civilians, and they spend their money on spreading terrorism or accommodating terrorism, that's just doesn't enter into the equation as it relates to empathy, because you're worried about, understandably, that the Iranian military is targeting your family. So these were the feelings that I wrote down. My 7-year-old son was not really too aware of what was going on, maybe worried for a few moments. Aliza and I really tried to kind of keep it cool. Our adult daughter at the moment was scared, and our son was a little bit uh, uh, tense as well, because our older son, because he knew what was going on. So after a few moments, the little ones are really less concerned. So, as parents, we did what parents do, and we tried to be reassuring and be responsible. And we hung out in the safe room, and I can't even imagine what the Israeli parents and kids have to go through had to go through these past several years on such a regular basis. Um, but this is home, and this is the reality of our home, and this is um, you don't just leave your home. This is our ancestral homeland. This is where our roots are. So, for us, it happens to be that Aliza and I are committed to American society, to American Jewish community, but Israel's also our home. And this feels, I wrote this down at the time, that this feels like home as well. And my most of my family is here. My sisters are here, and more of my family are making Aliyah. Not Elisa's family, but most of my family is now in Israel, which is a really interesting transition. It's not home like America, but it's a different kind of home. It's more than, I would say, it's more than just a spiritual home. So having a second home, and thinking about that, being forced to think about that because you're being attacked and targeted. So that was just a pretty wild, somewhat out of body experience at the very beginning of our sabbatical. So you just feel like your spirit, your energy, my identity, my life is tied to this place of such great beauty, and not just physical beauty, just beauty in all sorts of ways, which maybe we'll get to in a future video. So there is a great pride of being on the same team of goodness, of having uh, Americans and Israelis fight together, as happened at that time. Um, there's great pride in having such diversity, having pluralism, having a kind of liberalism, and those kinds of values, and finding strength in that, and knowing that our grandparents and great grandparents wanted to fight against tyranny, and now we have the means and capabilities of doing so, fighting against such authoritarianism and narrow-mindedness and racism, and fighting against evil. So for it's great pride in being there, as Israel became in that moment like the tip of the spear of American power. It was a unique moment, and and I wanted to share this moment with you as we experience this. Um, certainly Israel is autonomous and it's independent. It's not a pawn, but it's a massively strategic partner, and it's the Jewish state. And uh, my family, and we are American, and to know that the Jewish state is this level of strategic partner was just a great source of pride. So yeah, you have this feeling of vulnerability, but you have this feeling that you're on a team and you really want to defeat such horrific evil that targets innocent civilians. You feel like you're being pursued and you're not necessarily in the military, but you feel like you're part of this purpose. So that's what it was like when, your kids and your family, as a husband and a father, are being attacked. Um, you're sitting still, but you kind of feel like you're running for your life because your life is at stake. And even though it's just a few feet away, just a few steps away, but you have to quickly have your wits about you. And some people aren't so lucky to have a safe room so close um, to where they're sleeping. So you try hard and you're successful and you're proud about not panicking. Um, and it's important not to panic because that's part of keeping one's identity. So you feel it. You feel it when you're there. The whole country is obsessed with beating the terrorists by sticking to their routine, even with disruptions like no school, but sticking to routine as much as possible. And it was beautiful to be there for that. It's unfortunate to have to experience it, but it's beautiful to be there for that. So when you're there and you hear these sirens, you marvel at the ingenuity of missile defense and how sophisticated that technology is. And you have to really be aware and remind yourself that this is normal. How can this be normal? It shouldn't be normal, but it becomes normalized. And for me, where my mind went is that if only my grandparents and their families had the amazing Israel Defense Forces and the amazing soldiers rescue them in their hour of need, which most of my mother's family was wiped out. And that's just where your mind goes when you're an American experiencing this for your family for the first time. Um, you get this intensive interest in the news, of course, to want to know what's going on, to protect oneself and their family. It's not for just interest or fascination, but a person goes to the news for existential reasons, to be informed for existential reasons. So it's not a very American experience, I would say. And that's why I wanted to share it because, well, America's has these two oceans on both sides and um, is not threatened. Uh, in a significant way by her neighbors. And it's definitely Middle Eastern though. It's a different region. Um, and it's our home, it's our identity, and it's been ours for thousands of years. And now you and I get to see that, experience that. And for those who are fortunate enough to be there physically, um, this is what it's like when greatness comes out of the Israeli populace. And this is the resourcefulness and the ingenuity. And what I said this past Shabbos about just bearing witness and being able to give testimony that the most remarkable people, falsely maligned, but the most remarkable, inspiring, resourceful people are the Israeli people. So this is the first video blog I wanted to share with you, and I hope people appreciate some of these reflections. Thanks so much.